Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I welcome Elexus, where we're going to be talking about self-confidence, self-compassion, happiness, and many, many more things. So, Elexus is an evolution coach obsessed with spreading happiness, healing, and evolving into the best version of ourselves every single day. So welcome to the show, Alexis. Great to have you on. Glad we can make this happen. So yeah, first of all, be really interesting to hear a little bit about your story maybe into this, so the listener can get to know you a little bit more, and what makes you so driven to help people with feeling happiness, working with their healing, and all the work you do.
Ooh, I love your questions right off the bat. Thank you for having me on here, first and foremost. I do want to do a little shout out really quick.
Yes.
First, happy birthday, Miss Holland Gray. Mama loves you. Amberlyn Nicole, I love you so very, very much. Happy holidays. And every little thing I do for you guys. So I miss you so much. Big hey for your daddy until I see you again. I love how you worded what brings me to this and what really melts my heart with why I do what I do, because it's them. It comes down to okay, mental health. This would be the podcast for this open. In January of 2021, my daughters were moved to live with their father, and I had went through a lot of trauma with a neurosurgeon and a big malpractice mess, and I wasn't okay. I wasn't okay mentally at all. So I had went through the surgery not going well, and then I had 72 hours left to live, is what, in my perception and what was being tossed around with the nurses and the doctors, and ended up having a client and an angel save my life within that time frame. And once I was able to get out, I went into 6 days later, wonderful COVID and lockdown. So mental health was at its worst, at its ultimate worst for me. So come fast forward almost a year later, and I went to outpatient therapy, and I think that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I know that there's a lot of people out there that battle mental health in the darkness, right? And I truly, truly believe that it's something that we can work on every single day. That's what got me into the evolution coaching, and how we can really control our thoughts and our actions and our dreams, and balancing the emotions in our bodies so that we can create what it is that we want to get to by owning the truth of where we're at.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for sharing your story. And what I can see, obviously, your drive from the challenge that knocked you back in order to obviously helping others now in that case. So for you, I just want to touch a little bit on self-compassion, and obviously you were in a challenging time, and I've been in challenging times. I think the listener may resonate with this as well. How can we for you, what's helped you a little bit to be more compassionate of yourself? Is there anything that is useful to you?
Yeah, so I want to clarify self-compassion first.
Yeah.
So to my clients, self-compassion is and to myself, right? This is first and foremost, I don't coach theory. So to myself, it's a gift of unconditional love from you, to you, for you. So think of, you're super excited going to the store, and you're going to get this present, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to find the best one, right? And then you're gonna go gift this present, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I can't wait to give it to them, they're getting it early, right? And then you get this gift, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best present ever, I don't even care what it is, I'm so excited. That's the level of love. And sometimes that's also tough love can still be unconditional love, right? So there's this balance of learning that. But self-compassion to me is that unconditional love of being able to evaluate where I am and still hold true to and grace and love in the moment, as simple as form of just forgiveness with yourself. I've done a lot of mirror work and connecting to my eyes and soul and being able to just say, hey, this is where we are and this is where we're headed, as long as it's 1% better every single day, right? Like some of the darkest moments, if you can just lower it that 1% and raise the bar of happiness that 1%, it really can shift everything in your life. And I know, as the perfectionist that I've always grown up to be, I had the biggest challenge of lowering my bar of expectations and raising my bar of celebration. So every little thing had to be celebrated, and I had to lower the bar of expectations and raise the bar of celebration, or I would have just kept beating myself up over and over. And so I did little things. I created the morning magic routine, where I took everyday things that were hard when my depression was at its worst, right? Like there are days where when you're battling depression, like I was sitting in a big house at that point and it was empty, right? Like it had at one point a husband, 2 kids, and dogs and cat and everyone running around it. And to me, it was a house, but it never felt like a home. Like I came out of the hospital alive into that house, but I never had the peace within me, right, for it to ever be a home. And I was so angry. I was so upset. Like, how could someone, a doctor figure, right, like the person that in an emergency situation was supposed to be like where you go for support, and then there's a medical pandemic. So my brain just went into dark places. So when I was sitting there, I had to make sure that the tiniest of things became my to-do list. So instead of like, hey, by the way, I have all of my basics and work, and I need to add in homework and trying to run a business and personal development and all of the things that we do as entrepreneurs. So I made it really, really simple of, I have to brush my teeth, right? Like we all have just this basic go-to, like you wake up, you go to the bathroom, you go wash your face, you brush your teeth. So I would set it up with my alarm being a song that I loved, or another entrepreneur and mindset developer that I loved. And I would go get up, go to the bathroom, and I'd smile at myself in the mirror. And I'd brush my teeth as I'm smiling, because at that point I didn't feel like I had any support or any friends. Now, obviously I did, right? Like perception is reality. However, in those moments, I did not feel like I had it. So for me to look in the mirror and smile and sing a song, or hear another motivational speaker, or like how you and I met, right? Like Joseph McClendon III being in the background while I'm sitting there just brushing my teeth, like here's the drive, here's the ambition, here's how you move. And I did it for brushing my hair, I did it for eating, and I set it to the basic things that I had to accomplish for that day, just so I could make it through that day. But it was 1% better than yesterday.
I wrote down what you said about like lowering the bar of expectation but raising the standard of celebration, or raising the level of celebration in terms of being able to celebrate. And I know obviously you mentioned Joseph there. That's a huge thing he loves to talk about, is actually celebrating ourselves, right, and praising.
Yeah.
That I really like what you said about like the example of just brushing your teeth as well. Like it sounds like it's like a basic thing. It is, if you've got like achiever mindset, that's certainly been guilty of. It's like, right, I've got to do this, and this. But actually, in sometimes those hard places, whatever it might have been, I know I've certainly experienced just doing the basics is hard, but it's like, oh, I've got to do this, and it wasn't the healthiest choice for me.
Well, and on the science level, right? Like, how many times were you told when you were little to go brush your teeth? how many times were you sitting there like, and this is probably the mom in me, right? But there's those moments where you're like, just go brush your teeth, just go brush your teeth. And so you're already wired. So that is like, I tried to pick things, or not tried, gonna call myself out on that, right?
Mm.
But I picked things that were already so deeply ingrained in my own psychology and brain for those neural pathways so that I could boost the oxytocin and dopamine quicker and faster every single day. So you could compound effect the oxytocin in your brain. And when you do it and you're brushing your teeth and you're listening to the music, right, like hitting the senses, it really made such a difference to where I wake up and I jump out of bed and I want to go do it and just jumpstart the first 10 minutes of my day instead of laying there and seeing that I was in an empty house, instead of seeing that like my heart was hurting, right? Like, I mean, my heart still hurts today until I'm able to see them again. However, like I know that I'm becoming the best version of me because we're able to truly evolve every single day. Like, learn from yesterday, look out for tomorrow, live for today, live always. We can always level up from whatever yesterday was.
Mm. Yeah, these small little steps. I think it's I definitely resonate with that in terms of, yeah, just try to celebrate these small wins as well, and take steps forward. I want to. It sounds like you got some, step by step, you got some of these positive habits like in place and moving forward. For you, I just kind of want to get a view on, or touch a little bit on the healing side as well, and actually listening to what's going on, what is hurting. You mentioned obviously then about being aware that there's parts of your heart that are, that's going to hurt, and quite understandable from, what you just mentioned. For you, because I know people view it differently and have different approaches. Is there like a balance you have in terms of moving forward with positive steps and actually feeling into some of the things that are hurting? And has it been out of balance for you in the past? Just would like to get your kind of view on that a little bit.
Yeah. So I say it probably multiple times a day to everyone at this point in my circle. We are human beings living a spiritual existence. And it's so difficult because I wake up. Even yesterday. Yesterday was my youngest birthday, and April is my oldest birthday, right? And the end of this month is Christmas. Like all of the big moments, I still to this day struggle with the fact that I don't wake up and see them every day. Like, they're happy, they're healthy, they're protected, right, where they are, but I don't have that everyday cuddle session that I love and miss, because all the little things are what I miss. So when I'm going and pushing for my dreams and ambitions and becoming the best version of me for them, and there's definitely days where is it ever going to get to that point, right? And like, I can still go to the sadness. I would say fear, face everything and rise. That's I'm gonna just do it myself right now, like, and pat myself on the back, because if there's a dark and twisty moment in life, which we all have at some point or another, I genuinely will look at it and evaluate where I feel the emotions. And I've done a lot of chakra work, so being able to feel where the unaligned areas are with my own energy, and checking out, like, I don't Google symptoms the way that most people do with like westernized medicine. I'll Google like, hey, my head is hurting. What is my body trying to tell me? Right.
It's going to explode.
So so being able to see what my body is saying in those moments, right? And I'll go take a hot shower and put on a shower cleanse for my chakras, and I'll cry. Right. Like, I truly I could preach it at the top of my lungs, I would want to say that, like, you have to be able to find that cognitive behavior therapy of all of these emotions are valid. Every single emotion that you feel is valid. That doesn't mean that that emotion has to charge what's actually happening in the moment. You have to validate it, right? Like, let yourself know, like, yeah, this makes sense. I'm excuse my language, but there's no other words for this, but like, I'm sad as fuck when it's my daughter's birthday and I'm where I am at this point, right? And my expectations as the perfectionist in me is like, why are you not at 7 figures yet? Why are you not at your goals yet? Why is your following, like, it does start to spiral. Like, I need to talk to this many clients. I need to be able to get my business over here. I need to be able to balance all of these other opportunities and avenues, because in order for me to get to where I want to go, which is with them, I have to hit all of these milestones, right? So I put this extra pressure on myself, and it'd be so easy. And I have before, like, it slows it down. It will be like 3 months of me having to go back and reboot, right? Reboot, rebuild. Like, I've got the tools. We have the tools and the ability, and you and I are extremely blessed in the sense of, we know that it's possible. We know that we can lean on our confidence, we can lean on our tools, we can lean on the mentors and the friends and the circles that we've put ourselves in and the ways that we've chosen. However, facing everything and rise, like, no matter what that dark place is, on the other side of that dark and foggy bridge is literally a growth moment that always turns out to be some sort of paradise and rainbow. And I'm the type that believes in every Disney movie possible and Santa for too long, right? Like, so when you are able to look at those dark and twisty moments and really evaluate them and give them the love, give yourself the love of, you're okay here. Like, this isn't the worst day. This isn't the hardship that our brains add in when we start spiraling the emotions. It's right here, right now. This is the only moment we have. And even in this moment, right, you and I are in the now sharing this moment. And then it will ripple effect to other people when they watch it later. And it will be there now, right? So that little bit of just taking the mindfulness, I think that's the big difference, is the attention to intention, and being able to say, like, none of it is anything other than a lesson or a win.
I love the mindfulness element of it. Certainly for me, I remember in quite a lot of my life, it's just like trying to flip to the positive, right? And it's like, don't feel the negatives. And I think there's quite a lot of conditioning that came around with that, and just the way people around me were. I kind of just want to touch a little bit more on that, because I love what you said about, like, being mindful, and then being honest with yourself. Like, I'm feeling, fucking sad right now because of the circumstance, which makes complete sense, even though obviously I'm not in your situation, but I could understand why that is really, really sad. Has there been points maybe in your life, I just wondered, may or may not be, when you've just tried to push out the negative emotions?
Sorry, I'll lose my drink on that one. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Like, Monster Zero.
Monster Zero.
Yeah, I gotta get sponsorship or something someday, because it's like my favorite thing. Last night, my amazing other half, I'm grateful for the support. I'm grateful for the ability to be able to see that side and say, hey, you're avoiding those emotions, right? Because it's hard. It's something that, no matter what, when we want to move forward, there's that level of almost toxic positivity where you can get to the point where you're like, no, it'll be good. No, we're doing great. No, like, I've got this. I'm doing amazing. I've said my affirmations 17 times today. We're golden. Like, just keep moving forward. But in the back of your mind, your subconscious is going to project your reality. And I know when I'm not aligned, things get messy. Like, it's such a simple little thing, but like, things get messy. My table, and I mean that in relationships, right? In conversations. I mean that in my business and my posting. I mean that in like the nightstand table next to the bed. Like, things get messy. It projects my brain into my world. And when I start to see that, which I mean, obviously, like, my other half, he notices quicker than I do when it's getting messy around the house, right? And I realized that was my tell. That was my tell that I'm not being genuine to myself in the moment of there's something that I'm avoiding in my own evolution. And I've gotten the evolution now down to, this is the foundation, right? This is the first temple of you. This is the second temple. This is the third temple. And it builds you up into a whole version of you that you're moving forward every single day. And the way the program works, you'll see yourself get stagnant, and you'll be able to tell, like, okay, it's now 3 days in a row. So it's not like, oh, here's 3 months later, I'm still in the same place, right? It's like 3 days later and you're like, oh shoot, my numbers haven't moved. As if you're at the gym working out and you're like, wait a second, why is this not, this 3-pound dumbbell is still a 3-pound dumbbell? What's happening? And so when you're doing it in a mental state, right, and you're able to challenge the 4 pillars of life, is how I've set it up. So body, business, spirituality, and relationships. And when you're evaluating those every single day for yourself, well, if the numbers are the same every single day and you're at day 3, you can see, like, okay, there's something that I'm avoiding. And we all have different triggers. I have a client who she realized that she takes a bubble bath instead of a shower, right? So it could be little tiny adjustments, but when you're getting into that level of self-awareness and self-compassion every day, you start to see, like, oh, what am I holding back? Let me go do whatever it is, whether that's writing or for me, it's taking a shower. Like, I love to just go take a shower, let my head clear. I don't know if it's the Scorpio in me or what, but I need the water. And the minute I have the water, I'm like, okay, where am I holding myself back? Because no one stops us. I've been my own worst enemy my whole life, even at my hardest times when like the girls had to go live with their dad, right? I still take ownership for the fact that I was projecting this reality. I was adding to their perceptions, right? Whether I agree with them or not, that's besides the fact. The perception that was being received was created by my actions and my reactions. And we can control those. We can evaluate those. We can adjust them and grow. And then you start to see those around you adjust and calm down and breathe. And so, yeah, I think it just comes down to the self-awareness and the daily practice, like lowering the bar of expectations and raising the bar of celebration. You see the difference within 3 days of just the habits of being able to tell yourself, like, okay, this is a win. And I have people that look at me, I have people that look at me, they're like, why are we celebrating? Like, we haven't done what we're doing. Like, because it allows you to fully reset. No one's gonna push down the, I love that JM3, right? Like, you're not gonna push down the baby when it starts to walk and then it stumbles and falls. You're not gonna sit there and like, oh, mama. No, it's mom, it's mother. Like, you're just gonna be like, oh, do it again. But then at 34 now, right? At 34 now, why is it that I'm like, okay, you have done this for 3 weeks. Why is it not at 7 figures? Like, well, I wonder. Like, that's not how that works.
No, I love I always love the baby example. It's mother, you stupid baby, like the example. You don't obviously criticize the baby, but we forget that we get more critical as adults, right? Just from like all sorts of things that come into our life. What I wanted to just like finally touch on before we sort of like wrap up was the self-awareness and just kind of go back to what you said, because I think like I know I've certainly experienced this. I've worked with people who've experienced this. We get like busy lives, right? We're just going and we do quite a lot of the same things again and again. So I really was interested in what you said about like the self-awareness piece. And for you, it sounds like going for a shower or something to do with water is actually something that allows you to reflect on you. Are you saying you find it's different people find different practices for self-awareness, whether it might be journaling, might be sitting in silence?
Yeah, and I'd go even a step further than that. Like, maybe it's journaling, right? But if you feel the resistance, don't do it. Like, if it's not a heck yes, I'm all in, then don't do it. Find something else that works for you. And I had to just accept that, because I am very adamant about what I like or what I don't like. Like, it's very much, if I love it, I'm gonna put all of my energy and attention into it. If it's you might as well just throw it in the garbage before I even start. Like, it's a waste of the energy and time. I'm not gonna complete it. And I know that came with building the confidence and really evaluating who you are. But it's more than that. It's knowing, where the heck are you right now? Like, that, you can't have the self-awareness without actually accepting where you are in the moment. And before I went into the healing and the mindfulness, and before I went to outpatient therapy, I would project what I wanted people to see, right? Because I didn't want them to see this broken home. Or, I mean, we're all so comfortable, like disgustingly comfortable, with posts on social media being completely different than what we are in reality, right? And I can call myself out on that too. There's still times where I post a happy face because I'm in this happy world, but behind the scenes, my brain is going in 15 different directions and I'm crying in 10 minutes, right? Like, and I'm a female, so like there's waves of hormones. I mean, I know you men have your waves of hormones as well. Like there's moon cycles. However, when I get real with where I am in the now, like, that part has to be locked in. Know where you want to go. Like, have that target, right? The motivational, inspirational world is notorious for saying, like, here's your motivation, here's your inspiration. Well, awesome. Know your why, know your how, know where you want to go. But where are you right now? And don't beat yourself up between, this is where I am and this is where I want to be, right? Because that's where the toxic version of me would go. It would be like, well, you're not here yet. You're not there yet. And it took being like, okay, is today better than yesterday? Because it's always me versus me. It's not me versus Johnny. It's not me versus Blake. It's not me versus like anyone in the industry. It's me right here, right now, versus me yesterday. And having that solid integrity in myself and trust in myself of being like, you know what? Yesterday I was networking with a couple more people and my net worth went up, right? Or yesterday I brushed my teeth and it was sad as could be and I made it. Or like, just having that truth with you. It's the relationship with you and the love with you. And I really feel like there's this toxicity out there of you have to date yourself, or you have to be who you want to be, or go become the best version of you. And those are great, but you're whole right now. You're whole right now. Like, this is the only moment you have. And tomorrow's no guarantee. An hour from now is not guaranteed with us, right? Like, we're able to have these moments together right here, right now. And as morbid as it may sound to some people, we could get off this podcast and it'd be the last time you and I talk.
Mm.
And I think that makes the biggest difference on why I'm able to tap into evolution coaching the way that I am. Because my model will always be learn from yesterday, look out for tomorrow, live for today, love always. And I take it to every little moment of, I'm going to make this moment with Johnny the best moment that I have, because I love the connection and I'm so blessed and grateful for our friendship, mentorship, like everything that you and I have been through in these past almost 2 years now. And it's been such a beautiful blessing to have you as such a rock in my life. And being able to make those connections, right? And know that right here, right now, as much as I love my baby girls, they're not in this exchange, whether it's in the reality where I've got the handsome man behind the camera making more videos, right, for everything, and you on a tripod and me sitting here, or whether it's the virtual of you and I being there, right? They're not here. So right here, right now, my attention and intention to that attention, right, is with you and I, and knowing that if anything was to happen tonight or tomorrow, and this was my last interaction with you, it would be with unconditional love and wanting the best for you and myself and God.
It's beautiful being where you are, because I think a lot of us are so thought into the future, like you're saying, like trying to develop into where we're going, but always having that intention and where you are. And I think it's a great way to kind of round things off today, Alexus. So before we do round things off, obviously you've got a lot more value and than we shared today. And you know, I always love seeing your stuff on social media. I'm really excited about your podcast and everything you're doing and programs. So where can the listener find out more about you or connect with you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, Triller, Facebook. Triller's a fun one. And I'll be able to give you the links, that way that they can actually figure out how to fly themselves. So Fly is my program that I'm coming out with, right? Actually, tomorrow is the launch day. So when this is up and running, that will be fantastic. And it's Fly, First Love Yourself. So you can learn how to compound effect the levels of happiness and really make the biggest difference in yourself, right? As well as we've got a big motion going forward with a really fun group and circle that does pro trade and pro travel club. So building that life fully of having your compassion, having your ability to have that freedom. And I know a big block of that has always been experiencing other cultures, going out in the world, having the lifestyle and the freedoms that we want to have, and the financial freedoms, that way that those worries and burdens fade away as we're building ourselves up. And that's where we want to create the evolution for anyone and everyone that we possibly can. So I can give you all of that. I would love to. I'd love to share that with everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, be sure to include all that information in this episode below. So just check out the links in the show notes when you've listened to this or watched this if you're watching on YouTube. So Alexus, a massive thank you for coming on today and for all the work you're doing for the world.
Oh, thank you, Johnny. So much love to you.
Well, thank you.
So much love.
You too. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.